Hey guys, and welcome to Dark Arts Podcast. Yes, we're talking to you guys about the accountability test. Women will test you, men, and one of those tests is the accountability test. She needs to be accountable. Will you hold her accountable? That's the question. We're on episode 4 or week 4, and I'm glad you turned up again for another week. Let's get into this particular video. I want to let you know that women will test you. Not all, but there are some women, and a lot of them, that will test you on accountability. And what she's doing is that she may have a situation where she disrespected you and then blamed you for your reaction. Now, this is gaslighting in a sense. And so you need to nail it in the bud. I mean, or not nip it in the bud, they say, early on, right? Here's where most men are going to fail. They are going to join her in the festivities of emotion and join her in her deflection when you really need to bring her back to the center of focus. The center of focus is being accountable for what she actually did and not deflect away from that and get caught up in emotions and all other stuff around it. So you need to hold them to the standard and not lose your frame. Do not get involved with the festivities of raising your voice, shouting, screaming, getting emotional. That's not going to help you. You are going to fail the test, and I'm not here to let you fail that test. Am I okay? Are you clear? Are we good? Listen, I'm going to take you back to my story again in week 4. A little bit later, we had a conversation a few weeks after when she called me back. So we had stopped talking and she gave me a call a few weeks later. She wanted to ask me why I had sent her a particular voice note where I said, listen, if you're not going to be consistent, I don't want you anywhere near me. And so we ended up having a conversation, and we went back to this situation with the restaurant situation, right? As to why it started to go a bit funky after the restaurant, and she let me know, oh, because you made a joke about sex, and I thought that you only wanted sex from me, and I was so dumbfounded, and I'll tell you why. Because the actual situation did not play out like that. Again, gaslighting. The situation didn't play out like that. She actually made comments about her being in a space where she's free and she wants to be herself now and explore a little bit. She's not ready for a relationship in the sense of what she was letting us know. And then she said, listen, maybe I'll come after hours and warm my food up at your house. Okay. So the next day, what do you think I did? I sent a microwave because you said you wanted to warm up in my microwave. And I sent a picture of the microwave and said, hey, you can warm the food up in my house. Now, we all know what we're alluding to when you're talking about warming up the food. I don't know what I said. I didn't say anything out of pocket, but she made that the issue and said, "Yes, that's the actual issue. You're being sexual." Da, da, da. I said, "Hold on a minute. You were the first one to go down that lane." I was actually surprised you actually went down that lane because I hadn't mentioned anything about sex up until that point. And that innuendo that we both were actually upon, I followed your lead. Now, women will do this to you. Those who are unaccountable and insecure. This is not every woman. It's a type of woman. Okay. And if you don't call them out on that ish, you're going to have a long standing history of disrespect and gaslighting. Okay. So calling them out on something small, when I did call her out on that and I said, oh, that's not what happened. Then she was like, well, it's the way you said it. Well, now it's the way I said it. It's different from how you said it. You said it in a particular tone. I thought you were being sexual when you said it. I just replied the next day. But see how they focused on now your reaction rather than actually the situation. Let me give you another example that I had a couple years ago. And this one was even better and will help you understand where we're coming from. I had a situation with a young lady and she crossed the boundaries. And I was hot. I was hot. There's very few times I'm very angry. This day I was fuming. And when I'm hot, I don't like people touching me. I don't want to close a space. I don't want to get too close to you. I'm a big black man. I don't want to get into that particular space. Okay. So when this thing happened and I was hot, I was angry, she could see it in my eyes. I was burning. So she wanted to touch me. I said, don't touch me. You know what I'm saying too? So the next day when we had this conversation, her focus was your anger was so this, da, 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 and she made the whole thing about the anger. And I said, stop making it about the anger because that's not where the real issue is. Let's actually address how I got there. Because what you're doing is you're deflecting from the actual situation. You are refusing accountability and you're trying to make a plight. And I get it, you want me to understand you, but you're deflecting right now. Because what we should be addressing is why you were in that situation and why you're breaking my boundaries and why your impact may have been different from your intentions, right? Sometimes you will hear ladies, when they try to joke with you or try to make a certain joke and they're trying to test you to see, are you going to hold them accountable in that particular space? right? So they may make a joke at your expense, and then you might say, "I don't like that joke," and they'll tell you, "Oh, I didn't realize you're so sensitive. Oh, you're overacting. It's just a joke. Oh, so now I got to check in with you, because I'm your child or whatever." Right? They will say these comments, and what they're doing is they're testing you. All right, but they're testing you through deflection, and instead of actually addressing the actual issue, they are careering you away from the main issue at hand. They're careering you away from the main incident at hand. What they want you to do is they want you to be focused on the emotions and be focused on the deflection that's happening. And that's where most guys are going to fail. That's where you're going to fail, but you're not going to fail because we're going to make sure you don't. All right. People start failing because what they do is they start explaining and justifying or even apologizing for bringing it up. Right. And it's like, no, 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 you don't have to. You don't have to do that. What you need to do is let them know we are focused on this issue because that's where the issue is. Right. So then what happens is they reinforce the idea that they are unaccountable for their actions and you can't hold them to it. Mhm. Now, imagine this example in your head. Imagine being in a courtroom and the lawyer or the defendant is guilty, but instead of addressing the crime, the lawyer just keeps shifting the blame. He says, well, the other guy was being dramatic, or he should have known this was going to happen, or are we really going to make this a big deal? And you hear this so many times. They're not actually addressing the crime at hand, the issue at hand. That's the gaslighting. That is the deflection. That is the manipulation that's happening. You see, a bad lawyer doesn't just argue based on facts. They argue based on distraction. That's what makes them so good. That's what makes that girl so good. She is a trained lawyer. You don't want to get caught in that trap, trust me, because you will not come out and you will not win. What you need to do as a best practice is this. When this happens, do not play the game. Instead, bring the conversation back to reality with one simple line. That is not what happened. Let's deal with facts, not assumptions. That's not what happened. Let's deal with facts, not assumptions. In the case of my story, where she said that I was one that was making the sexual innuendos, and that's why she suddenly stopped interacting with me. Which, to be honest, listen, people can make all types of excuses when they don't want to be around you, and that's okay. You got to accept it and be okay with that, right? Is is a good response would have been this. I can totally understand why you'd want to distance yourself in such an instance, believing that I was being sexual towards you, right? But let us address what led to those particular comments that I made to you in the very first place. You had already made a sexual joke about coming to my house and warming my food up. This is what led to me then replying to that comment and saying the exact same thing to you back in the same manner about here's a microwave, you can warm your food here. That's exactly how to address it. We're not going to flip and move and be shifted and now you be careered elsewhere. We're focusing at the crime at hand. How about the other example I gave you about the one where you broke my boundaries? Another way would be to explain it this way. I get that my reaction upset you because someone can be angry, someone can be feel hurt about your reaction. That's fine. You know what? I'm going to validate how you felt. I get that my reaction upset you. All right. But the real issue that led up to this, to that emotional response, okay, was that a boundary was crossed. And instead of focusing on my emotions, let's address what led to that in the very first place. I need you to know that my boundaries need to be, I need to know that my boundaries are going to be respected going forward. Do you see how it happened here? I addressed the fact that you still had your emotions. I validated that. For women, that's big. Validate their emotions, right? So when I said I get that you're I can get that your reaction, I can get that by my reaction you're upset, or if I say I can totally understand why you'd want to distance yourself, that's me validating how they felt. I'm validating that first to disarm you. Oh yes, yeah, to disarm them, okay, and then you let them know back on to task. Here's a boundary. Here's a boundary. Because oftentimes women are going to fight you with emotions and how they feel and how you made them feel. And so in that instance, don't try to fight the feeling. Don't fight the feeling. There's no point because you ain't going to win. What you're going to do is you're going to validate the feeling, but that does not mean I'm going to go down that lane. I'm going to go down the lane of the crime that was committed at hand. Okay? Now, why does this work? It works because it stops the deflection. You're refusing to engage in the distraction. Number two, it keeps the conversation grounded. You're not getting emotional. You're just redirecting to the truth. This is really important. Again, we are not matching women's energy. The moment you do that, you're no longer leading. You are now following. Do not match her energy. You are stating, and you are the thermostat. You are keeping it at however degrees it is over where you like it to be. It's at 74 degrees, then keep it at 74 degrees. We're not turning it up because she's turning up. Nope, we don't follow her. She's following your lead. Number three, it forces her to confront reality. She either acknowledges her mistake or she's going to keep on deflecting, which only makes her position weaker because you know what you need to do. By maintaining the standard, you are showing that you are a man who will not be manipulated by the emotional games. Look, I don't know if you've ever been blamed like I have in this particular situation when you're dating someone. How did you handle it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's talk about it. But I also want you to know that you must master the art of holding women accountable without getting pulled into an unnecessary argument or a back and forth firing. So join my coaching program because that's what we actually teach. We teach people how to have these conversations and be assertive in the way that you deal with women. Women are not going to run you in 2025. No, 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 no. No, sirree. Well, in week 4, I will teach you how to stand firm and communicate effectively and demand respect without losing frame because that's the most important thing. She wants to know that you have your masculine frame. And I believe you have it. We just need to fine tune it. So click on the link down below, join my coaching program. Let's work on that and make sure that you're going to have a good year this year. And for the rest of you, make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, you click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you. We out. Week 5 is coming.